This is John Cooper. I'm an SEO consultant who does almost strictly link building, which has allowed me to gain some expertise in this industry. So, as you know, with my blog, for those that do know me, I suck at keeping any type of consistency in terms of writing. But for now, I hope you enjoy this first one. Today, I will be talking about fail-proof content, which is a term that I'm hopefully trying to coin. Only time will tell if it really catches on. But what fail-proof content is content that's been proven to get links. So before you create it, you don't have to worry about the whole hit or miss issue, which is a huge issue with small businesses and clients and trying to pitch them on content, because a lot of times we don't really know if it's going to do well or not. And that's all part of risk, but this is basically trying to take a risk out of the equation. And I'll explain to you exactly how to create fail-proof content coming up. Who can use fail-proof content? It's really the majority of websites on the web. There are very few that can't. I'd say sites like gambling and adult and those industries won't have any real luck with this, just because it's going to take outreach and real people are going to be looking at whether or not they should link to it. So chances are they will not be linking to your website just because of the topic matter. What should it be used for? Fail-proof content, its main purpose is to increase domain authority. You're not going to be using it to get links to your money pages or your homepage, but you can include links on those pages you'll be getting links to those pages. So that's an advantage. So before I get into exactly what fail-proof content is and exactly what it is, I'm just going to show you a quick couple of examples. So the first example is mortgageloan.com. They created a home buyer's guide for people with disabilities. I'll link to it below. And in this example, it's just an article, a pretty big article created to help people with disabilities buy or mortgage a home. And a quick look in Ahrefs or Open Site Explorer, you can see that it's got hundreds of awesome links and it's got a page rank of 6. So obviously they're doing something right. So this is one example of fail-proof content, and I'll explain to you why this is fail-proof. Another example is a Halloween costume retailer that created content on topics like websites for kids to visit, the Byzantine Empire, and the Renaissance, and even Sherlock Holmes. So they created content on these topics because they knew they could get links to it. And that is at the essence of what fail-proof content is. To create fail-proof content, you have to find topics that high authority websites have already proven that they'll link to. You can do this by finding resource pages from these high authority websites and just seeing what they've already linked out to. Because basically all we're trying to do is fit the mold that universities and other high authority websites have already shown to us of what they'll link to. So for a quick example, if you read a lot of link building blogs and different blogs in the industry, one example that I saw a few years ago was from Will Reynolds and the Sierra Interactive team. They created a scholarship to just get links to it from different universities. The reason this was successful, because some guy a few years back, who knows who was the first person to do this, they basically saw, hey, university websites are already linking out to different scholarships, so all I got to do is create one and they'll link to it. And that's basically the idea of the content we're creating. We're finding content that these high authority websites have already proven that they'll link to, because they've got resource pages on these, because they've got tons of different outbound links on some of their different pages. We already know that they're going to link to it. So these topics, a few examples of these different topics are kids, so different websites related to kids, disabilities, not a huge topic, but that's just one example that we've already used. Safety. So maybe government websites will link out to public safety resources, or any type of safety resources, because that's just a topic that everyone's really concerned about. Science. So it's an academic subject that universities have already proven to link out to. So creating resources related to science. And really anything. It's basically about going to high authority websites and just seeing what they already link to. And you'll find enough topics there. But the goal is to find a topic that is both getting authoritative links to it on those different resources on the web, as well as one that's relevant enough. So in the first example, Mortgage Loan created a homebuyer's guide to people with disabilities. This is perfect because it's relevant to their website and it's relevant to those pages they're trying to get links from. It's a perfect medium. Now, in the other example of the Halloween costume retailer that created content on topics like the Byzantine Empire and the Renaissance, it's very borderline. And I would say that they're still going to get good links to it. And I don't think necessarily it's going to hurt them because they created content on these topics. But your goal is to try and find topics as related as possible. I think in one of the articles, they tied in because they were selling costumes for, I think, Sherlock Holmes, I think was one of the examples. So they could maybe justify it that way. But long term, I'm thinking through the eyes of Google, and that's just how I think. I think that what links they got, they're ranking great right now with those links. And so if someone said, all right, are we going to do it or not, and this is our only chance, I'm not against, creating content on those topics. But long term, and as the industry starts to move to a smarter, more white hat link building strategy, you're going to want to find and really only create content that's relevant enough that meets that kind of criteria. So now we all say that we should get links from university pages, and everyone says we need to get edu links. Those are great, and they are great. But with this strategy, they're actually extremely easy to get. For example, in one of my sites that I'm building links for, it's a site from scratch, and we're creating content on these topics to get links for, so long term will rank great. Our TLD ratio, our top level domain ratio, is 45% edu links. So what that means is 45% of the links that we're getting to our website are edu links, because they're easy to get just by seeing what they already link out to. But long term, they wouldn't be that effective if the content wasn't really relevant, because you want Google to see you as an authority on this topic, and links will help you, but they're seeing you as an authority on different topics and not topics really related to your website. And so therefore, they're not going to rank your kind of money pages, I think. Again, long term, it's still working for those who are creating content on semi-relevant topics, but it's really not worth playing with. So this idea of creating content on topics that have already been proven to link to, is this a long-term thing? We always want to know, is Google going to allow this one day and kill it the next? I see only two real killers of this tactic. First one is Google. Google seeing that it's not relevant, so for whatever reason, they're not going to give the links as much weight. I don't necessarily think this is going to be a penalty of any sort if you're creating content on really unrelated topics. Depends on how unreally related you get, I guess. But you shouldn't worry about getting any penalties. You'll just worry about losing authority if, as I said, the content isn't relevant. And another potential killer is webmasters catching on to these tactics. Like anything in this industry, once it's heard about and talked about, it gets beaten into the ground 20 times over until it is just a nightmare. So it's basically the first people who kind of understand this and do this and don't kind of poison the well for others by creating terrible content on these topics. That's basically going to be the real longevity of it. But this whole idea of creating content on topics that people have already proven to link to and then using targeted outreach this equation of targeted outreach plus targeted content is the most successful combination on the web in terms of real link building. Is basically finding, these topics people already link to, reaching out to them specifically for these topics, and not some generic link request. During outreach for these kind of things, remember that helping out webmasters is huge. For example, broken link building, as much as that is a sole tactic, I use that for really anything when I'm trying to get a link. I'll just start off the conversation by saying, hey, I found a couple links on this page. Oh, by the way, later, here's my good reason why you should link to me. They're much more willing down the line. So don't think of broken link building as a sole tactic that is one thing and it does not overlap with others, because that whole idea of helping out others, and that's basically what broken link building is extremely effective in any type of outreach. Whether you're outreaching to bloggers to help them fix a couple site issues before asking if you can write a guest post, or in this example, there's really no limits in terms of helping out others, because you're basically just using the law of reciprocity to get them to kind of like you. And when they like you, they're obviously going to be a lot more likely to allow a link or whatever. Now, as I said with broken link building, as much as it's for outreach, you should also use broken link building for prospecting in this case, because you should be hunting for resources. You don't have to be solely doing this. This is just kind of another thing on the side, but seeing resources, they get a lot of links to it, and understanding why they got a lot of links to it. If it's super relevant, like a website in your industry that got all these links and now the page is broken, then great. This is probably just from other industry websites. But if you find a resource that has a lot of links to it that's semi-relevant, you might be able to find a topic, kind of like safety or just kids that, a lot of authoritative websites, organizations, schools, government websites, they just link out to it. So keep your eye out for those. And that's kind of your main goal, I'd say, when you're looking at broken link resources. You can also go the route of just recreating those resources and hitting up all those websites and saying, hey, this resource broke. Here is the new location. And just getting links that way as much as you are from solely creating content from scratch. Both work, because you're both creating content on those topics. So either way. But as I said, the main takeaway here is finding what's already being linked to and fitting that mold. It's as simple as that. There aren't going to be many new types of link tactics or whatever coming out in the future, just because they've been mined over pretty well. So what you need to do is just look what's already working for people in other industries and going after that. So for example, I thought of a creative tactic that I don't know how scalable it is, but who knows, this might be huge. But if you notice people in the video transcription industry, what they do is they'll transcribe content or transcribe your videos, and they'll always want a link at the bottom saying that, we transcribed it. So who says you can't do this on your own for related websites? Because you've already seen people already link out to it in this way, just apply it, but into your own situation. So you can find industry blogs that post a lot of videos and just say, hey, I transcribed this content, want me to send it over? They say, sure, you send it over. Remember, you might pay somebody to transcribe it for you. You might do it yourself, who knows? And then include the link as saying, I'm the guy who helped transcribe the video. So there's numerous applications of this idea of saying that just fitting that mold of what's already being linked to. And that's what's really killing it right now in terms of content that really works in terms of links. So couple little tips for the end is just remember that, keep it relevant, and this should complement your link building strategy, okay? This is not a very short-term thing. You're not going to see huge increases in traffic over a 2-month period with 50 links, because these aren't linking to those pages that you're really trying to rank. These are links that are trying to make Google think of your domain as an authority and not just those singular pages, because when they see the domain as authority, you'll start ranking for 2,000 other things that you didn't even know about. And for me and my clients, I don't target anchor text at all. For one of my sites I'm building, I might get penalized because I'll just say people link my brand name if they ask for anchor text, and my ratio is just so heavily branded that I think that might even cause me an issue, which is kind of funny. But the idea is, in this example, you're not really going for targeted anchors or money pages, but raising your domain as a whole. So yeah, thank you for listening. One last thing, I encourage all of you to check out my link building course. Shameless plug, I'm sorry. I'll add a link to it at the bottom of this post. If you're new to link building, or if you're training outsourced workers, or if you're in-house and you're training other in-house guys, or if you're looking for some advanced tactics to kind of revamp your link building strategy, I've gotten great feedback, way better than I expected from the link building course. And I do keep it updated. I don't update it a ton because a lot of this stuff is long-term and white hat, so you don't have to worry about Google sniffing it out one day and not the next. So there are things included in it, such as an advanced section of tactics, a huge spreadsheet of actual link opportunities, as well as a review of just about every link building tool out there. So those are worth checking out too. Thanks for your time, and take care.